Okay, we're going to finish off the Frequencies of Creation series with the periodic table. So this is the 7th video that I'm doing. And as you've noticed, I've just basically continued all the way through, even though it's going to take you a while to receive all of these. They were done at the same time. And I just stopped and started and stopped and started and divided it into 7 videos, just so that you would get, one topic at a time. So we're going to move on to the periodic table. And this is where you're really going to see how intervals are just as important as the exact musical notes. So let's go on and take a look at the beautiful periodic table of elements. I'm going to share my screen and move me as usual up to the top. Okay, let's get the screen drawn to our number 7 of the series, which takes us all the way through the frequencies of creation. And as usual, as I find more information, I actually will go in to the original blog post and make changes and additions in those blog posts. If they're small changes, if they're big changes, I will put them in a new blog. But at the same point, I'm giving you information in here that is more than what's in some of those blog posts. If you really want to geek out musically, I put all of that stuff in the blog posts. And for most people, it's probably overkill. And I'm trying to be as simple as possible here for the general public, especially if you're not, as adept with music theory as I am. But if you're going to look at the frequencies of creation, you have to understand music theory. That being said, let's move on. So the periodic table. There's a dude named Russell Smith who found what he called the universal weave, which was based on the teachings of a man named George Gurdjieff. I think that's how you say his name. I think he's Russian. He connected it, this is Smith, connected it with the periodic table when he saw that the family groups from the periodic table were in Gurdjieff's diagram and that they perfectly matched the 4 families of the periodic table. And he called his work the law of threes and the law of sevens, which I find is really interesting because the law of threes in music is a musical triad. The law of 7 is the musical notes, all 7 notes and their variations, like their sharps and their flats, in a musical scale. So you can already see there's a pattern emerging here. Smith connected ratios of thirds in music to the universal laws. Law of 3 thirds. So we're going all the way back to the beginning sound of creation. Now, in this case, I'm not necessarily looking at the F sharp. I'm looking at the fact here we're using musical intervals. The law of 3 requires that 3 notes determine chord quality, which in the chord qualities that we have are major, minor, augmented, and diminished. And you don't necessarily have to know what those are. Just know that there are 4 chord qualities. Most people know what major and minor are. Minor is that kind of sad sound, and everyone says that major is a happy sound. Augmented and diminished are interesting sounding. Diminished is always used as a transition to something else. The basics of how Smith's method works is to start from 1296 hertz. I don't know where he got 1296 hertz, but that is in the A432 or 434 concert pitch. I can't remember. We'll see once we get to the slides. And you create a descending scale using the ratios provided in his chart. And I'm like, okay, so I bought the book, and it's called the Universal Cosmic Weave or something. It's on Amazon, and you can look him up and you can buy the book if you really want to geek out on the musical stuff. And again, I'm not sure if I put that link in the periodic table blogs, but if I didn't, just go to Amazon and find it. And he's also the guy who did the dog teachings on YouTube. That's his YouTube channel. And I watched every video he had there because I was trying to understand what he was saying. Because you can tell he understands music to a degree. But anyway, Here's the thing. Piano tuners will start on a specific note and they will tune all other notes from that note. That's how we get concert pitch. We have set A above middle C at 440 hertz. All other notes are tuned off of that A as a starting point. So what he did is he started at 1296 hertz, which is an E, and he tuned all of and he did his thirds and his minor thirds and his major thirds so that they were pure from one note to the next. Now, the interesting thing is, and I don't know if it's on here, in order for the intervals to remain pure, you're going to have to weave through a variety of concert pitches in the periodic table. And you'll see what I'm talking about here. When you look at this diagram on the left, these are all the pitches. And here come the street sweepers again. You know, they got to make one more pass during this video. You know, they're just having a really good time. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. So if you see this A, all of these notes here represent the note A. Well, why are there so many A's? Well, when you're tuning thirds, major thirds on a piano are too wide. They're too far apart. If you really want to tune a major third, like if you're tuning a C to an E, you have to bring that E down so that it's perfectly in tune, that it's a pure interval, which is why piano tuners tune fifths and fourths. They don't tune the major thirds and the minor thirds, because if they did, you would be out of a 440 concert pitch. And so you're tuning according to thirds. Now, I took his diagram and I added the musical notes in here. He didn't do that. I did it. So here are the four family groups, and here are the orbitals within the periodic table. And here are the subshells in between the orbitals. And I've color coded which family group goes. And here it's moving from left to right. And I point the arrow exactly as he has it. So you can see how it moves. All right. And that is in the blog post. Now I've noticed after I put this up that I'm missing something in the very last one, but notice the family groups. I call the supreme family, which he said is at the very left of the periodic table. That's all of the elements that are on the far left. E major, D flat major. So one S, two S's in D flat or C sharp, three S's in A, four S's in F sharp, five S's in D, six S's in B, and seven S's in G major. Okay. Notice you're alternating major third, minor third. I mean, minor third, major third, minor third, major third. They're going back and forth between major and minor thirds all the way through it. Then you have your prime family, which is, I believe they're in the middle of the periodic table, that part of the group that's in the middle. I'd have to look at the periodic table colors, but they're in the blog post. Again, minor third, major third, minor third, major third, minor third. Then you've got your distant family, minor third, major third, minor third again. Then you've got your final family, which is the minor third. And each part of the periodic table is in a different family. And I've noticed I called them great-grandparents, grandparents, parents, and great-grandchildren. I gave them that name just so that you could see the generations of the family. So the ones that are in the great-grandparents were the first elements that were created, and they belong to that family. So they all have something in common with that family. Now you're going to notice in all these subshells, look at all this: minor third, major third, minor third, major third, minor third, major third here. And then from B to G, that is another major third, which is really interesting that it ends. I don't know why I didn't put major third there, but then you go from here: minor third, major third, minor third, major third, minor third, and G to E is a minor third. So it's like the last two, whatever this one is also. I don't know why I didn't put that in there. So there's still a pattern. See, the whole thing is you're seeing a pattern and a cycle in the periodic table, which is different. You go back to the frequencies of creation. Out of that F sharp came the minor third. From the minor third, it morphed into the major third. What's the first one we see here is a minor third. So I'm more interested in the intervals in this than I am the specific pitches, because I don't know where he came up with 1296 hertz. Because you could really transpose that into any key that you want. The intervals are going to remain the same. So to me, the periodic table is more about the intervals than it is the specific pitches. But here's where it gets a little bit interesting. And so this goes to my conclusion. So elements within the periodic table are more focused on the musical intervals of major third, capital M3, and a minor third, small m3. That's the theoretical proper way to write major and minor thirds. Unless you're in a rock band. You just have the word major 3 and minor 3 all capitalized spelled out. Anyway, to make each interval pure, it requires meandering through a few different concert pitches. Ultimately, it ends up in the same concert pitch that it began. Now I'm going to go back. I'm backing up. Notice that this is in the 432 concert pitch. Supreme family's there. You've got the prime family goes all the way up to 450. Then you've got the A434 concert pitch, and then the A434 concert pitch, which then ultimately ends at the 432, which is an octave lower than the 1296 hertz. So if you take 1296 hertz, I have to do the math because I can't do it in my head. So 1296, if you want the lower octave, divide it by 2, 648 hertz, which you're going to see on that chart that I had there before. So this is 1 octave, but you're meandering through a variety of concert pitches to get there. Just like you're going to meander through a bunch of colors of green to find a palette that works in the green palettes. So we've got the same kind of thing going on here. All right, let's go back to this. So I already said that one, and I just said this one. So that's showing you that you're going to be meandering through a variety of tunings. And then you're going to get right back where you started. You know, it's a very good place to start. Okay, you can sing along with me now. Because the entire periodic table is based on tuning by thirds, it's impossible to stay within one concert pitch because each third must be tuned separately. And I actually literally opened up 2 tone generators on my computer. I would put in one pitch and I would put in the next pitch. And then I would match them. I mean, according to the chart that he has them both in there to make sure that they were the pitches he said they were. And, you know, because I'm a musician, I have a good ear. I'm like, okay, that's a minor third, that's a major third. So it works. So I checked all of them and they work. Smith, like others before him, he began at 1296 hertz, which is an E. And so that pitch falls within the A432 concert pitch. So I answered my question I asked earlier when using the modified Pythagorean tuning. Now, if you use equal temperament or use just intonation, that's going to adjust the intervals, the distance between notes. So some of the pitches might have a slightly different number. All creation appears to be centered around the note F sharp as it meanders through a variety of concert pitches and tunings. And so we'll let that thing fly away. And so before I stop sharing screen, remember that I'm going to put links to the Frequencies of Creation series below that I'm talking about. Follow me on Instagram if you want to see a cute little meme every day, and follow me on Facebook to get all kinds of cool things there, and sign up for the newsletter if you want to geek out on all things music, especially when it relates to frequencies. But so to end this whole discussion of the frequencies of creation, we're going right back to where we started with patterns and cycles. So everything I've talked about today is all in, it all fits within patterns and cycles of repeating things that happen again. And it's all related to F sharp in some way, or the musical intervals that came out of the beginning of the creation. You know, even though yod, hey, vav, hey, that minor third that I was telling you about is the tetragrammaton, you can sing it in any key you want. It doesn't have to be the specific notes. Because one of the things I found out about the musical frequencies of the Hebrew letters, it's more about, they don't have a note, they've got a key. And every key has a variety of intervals in it, and you can get your major and minor thirds a variety of different ways within that key. So we can't limit ourselves to thinking only one way. And again, I'm going back to what I said then as well. If we limit our thinking and we believe that it's only that it has to work out a specific way, we will often miss the truth, which could be slamming us right in the face. So once I get out of what I call stinking thinking and allow my mind to look at other possibilities, then that's generally when I'm finding the truth of what I'm looking for in this whole frequency research thing, which unfortunately a lot of academics have quit doing these days. I'm not really sure why. We should, you get a hypothesis, but a hypothesis is just that. You have to prove your hypothesis. I am still in the process of working through these frequencies of creation. I see how all this stuff, all these patterns are connecting. I don't understand yet why or what the purpose is. And as I continue doing this, I will find out more. But I have to make sure that I stay in that place of openness and understanding that I just might not have the knowledge yet that's needed to help me understand what is yet to come. So I encourage you in whatever research that you do. And if you have something that you want to share with me, feel free to comment below or go onto the website and use the comment form in the contact us, which I think is there's one at the bottom of the website and there's one at the very top. You can fill out the contact us form and send me some information because I love to hear the cool things that you've all found that I haven't yet seen. So we have now ended my little tidbits on the Frequencies of Creation series, and who knows what fun and exciting things are coming up. But we'll see you in the next series.